Good evening, welcome to this week's Monday Live. A bit of a different one this week, so we're going to have a little bit of a roundup from the weekend's golf as per normal. We have, poor James, hopefully all will work out. We're going to do a Zoom in. So there is a Zoom link in the description for tonight. So if you want to Zoom in and then ask us questions, we're going to do a bit of a Q&A on that front, hopefully live. And then we've got the range view behind. We're going to do some dynamic testing, anything you want us to hit, test, try, or Stuart's going to punish me with some horrible shots to hit. So I've got a few things to do today, this weekend. Good viewers of Lexi, probably the best one to start with. I think we talked about that last week. I think it was really interesting how clearly picked a course in a tournament that was going to be a good one. You'd be sensible to do so, but didn't disgrace yourself at all.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest. I think it's great for the ladies' game, promotes that. The full series is now taken on a slightly different meaning. Obviously, the guys that are falling out of their rankings for next year, they're all playing for their jobs. Lexi's got a full category on LPGA, obviously. There's someone that's on the bubble, and she's taken someone's spot. It's good for the sponsors. But I'm not sure it's good for the PGA Tour. And what's the best case scenario? Best case scenario is that Lexi makes the cut. She finishes. She wins it. Lady wins the PGA Tour event. Does that work in favour of the PGA Tour? Does it work in favour of the LPGA Tour? That's the best case scenario. So I don't really get it. They've done it with Michelle Wee over the years, Annika Sorenstam. I don't really get it, but look, it's great to see how does a lady match up on a men's PGA Tour. But with the greatest respect, we pretty much know what's going to happen. It's a tough course because we know the ladies hit it shorter. So I'm not sure it's a big.
And it's happened before. I think my question mark on it was, I think it's great to look at opportunities of getting the guys and girls playing together, but are there better ways of doing it? Does Lexi actually? Has she earned it in the same way that Annika earned it playing when she went to Colonial? She was standout the best in class at that point. I don't know whether Kari Webb did it, but Michelle Wee, that was sort of the start of, she was the new sensation on the block, and there was a bit of noise about her and how would she fare against the men. It kind of feels like, should Lexi, if it was going to happen, should it have been done sooner, if that was the reason for doing it? But yeah, I think the worst case scenario was she came plumb last, which she didn't, thank goodness.
But what would that have really been if she did come last? It would be so easy for people to say, well, she's lady tour player playing on the men's tour. Okay, no problem. Yeah. I don't think that would have weighed up too much. Making the cut would be a result, but again, I don't really get what it's about. This push. We know the ladies' game is great. We know the men's game's great. Do we need a lady championing the bit for the ladies' game on the PGA Tour? I'm not sure we do.
I think the format the European Tour did, where they had the cumulative event. I think I personally think that's a great way to do it, where there's a bit more of a showcase to the whole event. But as you say, I think for me, as you alluded to, it's a sponsors. It's a good thing for the sponsors, a little bit of a gimmick, but yeah, fair play. She acquitted herself well. It must have been pretty nerve-wracking. Yeah, so.
most definitely.
Tom Kim,
repeat
win this weekend. He's quite the sensation potentially. I think he's certainly him and Min Woo winning in Asia. I think Tom Kim's got some real personality about him. I think he's a really interesting one, and certainly seems to be one for the future.
Strong player. Got plenty of game, right? I mean, travels a bit as well, which is great to see. A young PGA Tour player, but I think the Asian contingent do travel well, don't they? They're always willing to go across the planet and play in all the tours, which is great. Yeah, I think there is it's just nice to see PGA Tour players with some diversity. Yeah, again, it's nice to see youngsters doing well early in their career on the PGA Tour. Great for the game.
And then in Europe, Matthew Pavon holding off a charging Marcel Siem.
Yeah, I think it was too far back. He was never, I mean, never going to have a chance of winning. I think 19 under was second place. Pavon got to 23 under. Great 7 under final round by Pavon. Marcel Siem, I mean, crikey, what a journey he's been on. You know, he was, when I was out on tour, he was working harder than anybody and battling with his game. Got a golf swing that is so. It's the antichrist of all the new swings. You know, the hook grippers, the shut faces. I mean, he's so open. He's shut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's gone. So to see him not go down. I mean, it would have been so easy for a golf coach to go in there and start changing him around. But he's plugged away. Went back down on the Challenge Tour. Got his card through the Challenge Tour. Back onto the main tour. He's sort of bounced backwards and forwards, and he's managed to really hold on to his card. But not only that, he's gone forwards, and to have a chance of shooting 59, it was fantastic. But not only that, he's a guy that is playing absolutely on emotion. I mean, when you see
massive,
him,
isn't it? Yeah.
when you see him playing the game, he never used to be like that. He was never like that in his heyday. And who's
I always
to
felt
say
he was
that?
fiery, but not as on the limit.
Yeah, I mean, he plays with such emotion now. You know, when he hold that second shot for a 2, the celebration was electric.
Epic. I mean, look, I mean, to say the journey he's been on, being up, down, back up, great. I think that's the great thing with golf, isn't it? I think he's come and won again this year, and so emotionally charged. I think there's always that hope.
Yeah.
Always that hope.
So we've got a few of you joining us on the Zoom chat, which is great. And we've got the questions in hand as well for the Zoom, which this not seeming to work, but we will. There we go. That's perfect. So we've got the questions here as well. We've got it looks like we've got 3 folks joined us on the Zoom. So we've got Matty on as well.
Yeah.
We've got the old earpiece in,
Yes.
which
better get the earpiece.
which I'm hoping that we can hear. People. So we've got Niels on there.
Yes, with the backdrop, familiar backdrop.
With the Ryder Cup backdrop, we're nicely tuned up there. Niels, can you hear us?
Yes, with the backdrop, familiar backdrop.
With the Ryder Cup backdrop, we're nicely tuned up there. Niels, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you quite well.
Yes, with the backdrop, familiar backdrop.
So give us a little insight, Niels, on your experience of the Ryder Cup.
Yes, I hear you quite well.
Yes, with the backdrop, familiar.
Give us a little insight, Niels, on.
I think there's a slight delay going on, so I think I don't know whether there's a.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can avoid the echo and feedback. Is it okay?
There's a slight delay going on.
Okay.
I don't know whether.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can avoid the echo and feedback. Sound okay? Okay. Yeah, great. I'll work with the delay. Well, just to say briefly, it was essentially like this. And if you can see down that corner there, the Danish flag over. Oh, you can't see it there. Well, yeah, the Danish flag over there. That's me standing right there. Oh, yeah, just behind you guys. Anyway, was into the action all the way. And they standing right there, as everyone says, like it's the anyway. Oh, I'm hearing myself. It's terrible. All the way, so I'll mute myself completely like this. Okay. Anyway, just to summarize, the atmosphere at a Ryder Cup is absolutely second to none. I mean, you just need to go one time in your life. The sitting at the first tee and chanting along with from this is the right side of the tee and cheering people when they get on the tee, and the swing when you see people swinging and they actually just go like way, and then just talking to everyone. I mean, everyone is very kind, even though, I mean, it's Americans against Europeans. Still, it's just such a nice atmosphere, and still you have that kind of us against them that you don't have in any other golf event, really. And it's just so fun to be in. Even during the Sunday when things got a little bit, a little more interesting than we might have liked it. It was so clear all over the course that suddenly there was this buzz, and the US cheers were louder and the European cheers were like a little bit not so loud. and you could just feel the tension in the air when it got to the point where you could see maybe the Americans could win anyway. Well, it was absolutely fantastic. From the training days where you could see people just trying all kind of positions around the greens to the final putts dropping on the 17th. I mean, it was just amazing.
And where did you watch from mainly on those days?
Putts dropping on the 17th. I mean, it was just amazing.
And where did you watch from mainly on those days?
Yeah, well, the way that that you're watching this when you're on site is I mean, I've been to a few European tour events, and it's often possible to follow a ball around, and it's really not possible in the same way at the Ryder Cup, because there's simply that much or that many people on the course. So the way we did it was like we tried to maybe follow a ball the first couple of holes, and then the logistics kind of gets in the way. And then you find a spot. So for instance, on the sixth green, you have a big screen, you have a view to the second hole, and you can see the tee off and the play into the green. And then you could stand there, watch people pass through, and then move on to maybe the next base and the next base. So that's mainly how we did it. There was a very good coverage with big screens, as well as the terrain allowing you to look into to many of the fairways and greens. So it was well suited for a big event like this. But following a ball all the way around was essentially almost impossible. But that didn't matter, because you could follow it anyway in a combination of standing at the right greens and then watching it on the big screens as well. So you had a feeling of what was going on.
Well, Niels, thanks. It's really good to get your insights on the Ryder Cup, and thanks as ever for your support to our Monday Night Lives, a consistent audience from yourself, so we really appreciate that, and thanks for sharing. We've got Mr. Cantor on. Mr. Cantor, one of our good friends of Precision Golf. How are you, Peter?
Stuart, it's just quite difficult to hear you. I'm listening on YouTube and watching on Zoom. I can't quite hear you on Zoom, but hi Stuart, hi Simon, how you doing?
Excellent, thank you, Peter.
Stuart, it's just quite difficult to hear you. I'm listening on YouTube and watching on Zoom. I can't quite hear you on Zoom, but hi Stuart, hi Simon, how you doing?
Excellent, thank you, Peter.
Stuart, it's just quite difficult to hear you. I'm listening on YouTube.
So it looks like the audio is being something that we need to manage. So what we will do is, shall we come back to that, and we'll stay on the Zoom, and we'll see if we can work out a way around that. But let's talk a little bit about Winter League.
Winter League, yeah.
Winter League is an event that or a series of events that we run here at Precision Golf during the winter time on a Thursday night, one a month. Best 3 of 6 scores, 9 holes in an evening. We'll take that out. Sponsored by Golf Escapes.
It's like one ear popping, isn't it?
Yeah, our trusted travel partners here at Precision Golf. And you can win a holiday, which will be revealed on the first evening. And we've got we've got the simulator set up in front here. And I wanted to get Simon to hit a few shots. I'm a wounded sparrow, unfortunately, so I can't hit any.
And I'm a glutton for punishment, so it's me to go. Yeah,
you love it. This boy's hitting balls all day, every day. So we've got one of the TrackMan holes set up here, a bit of the practice range.
Yeah, the target area.
I think one of the exciting things for the winter leagues is the fact that people can obviously play. We've got a host of courses that we're going to be playing on the series. And we've got Golf Genius running a live leaderboard as well, which is going to be great. And we might even film a few of them. But I think the exciting thing is when you're in the winter time and you're working on your game, obviously the TrackMan data comes up into the corner as well, which I think is really unusual, because obviously when you're playing the game, you're just worried about hitting shots. You get to see a little bit of an insight into the default of the swing that you make, and the data that is created by the bad shots that you hit more than anything else.
That's what's quite nice about the kind of virtual range bit, is that whereas when we fit, we use the essentially the range is more of a still background. You see the shot go off, but you're not really looking at how it lands and the reaction. Whereas this puts you into more of a simulator situation where you can set it up at different target greens, fairways, but as you say, still get the data. Whereas in the simulator, you don't get as much of the actual data, so you can monitor your game much, as well as almost sort of play a hole in this respect as well. So it makes it a little bit more fun.
Yeah, and if you're interested in the Winter League series, we'll pop a little link in the descriptions below where you can enter on Golf Genius. Well, come on, let's see you play one. 165. No wind. I see you've set it up with no wind.
It's a little bit of help. I didn't set the wind.
It seems a bit simple. So 165. What's 165 for you? 5 iron, 6 iron?
Well, so this weekend it wasn't far off. Blooming cold out there, but went nowhere. I would say, having not hit a shot yet, I would say conservatively, my only wind's helping a little bit. Conservatively, I'd probably go smooth 7. Either a big old 8 or a smooth 7. Go on,
get yourself warmed up there. We'll get onto a few of these questions online here. So we've got Matty, the alt golfer, one of our own. Where would you like me to stand? In line with sun. Beautiful. Beautiful.
So I can't shank one backwards.
The production manager in James back there giving us pointers. So we've got Matty, looking forward to the live, gents. Well, nice to have you along, Matty. Mike T, just got back from Costa Navarino. Yeah. Loved all the courses in different ways. Cue on grain, how to read it and how much goes into the effects of a putt.
So I'm no expert on grain. I think all of us having grown up here, we don't get any. So I will tend to, like a Costa Navarino, there's a bit, but I don't think it's that heavy. But I'll tend to look at the hole and see if there's a wear side, because the direction the grain's growing towards, it's growing away from the edge of the hole, so it actually looks a little bit rough that side, whereas the other side is growing towards the edge of the hole, and then it can be trimmed neatly. So that's one way you can see which way the grain's running. But it's a bit of a guess for me. Kind of look at it, hope it doesn't have too much of an effect. So it's one of those where on the practice green, hit a few putts to see if there's a noticeable effect by it. But if there's a noticeable wear mark around the hole, that's the way I would read it. I don't know about you, but
a general rule of thumb is however shiny it is will dictate how strong the grain is. The difference between the shine and the dark will give you a sense of how much the grain is going to affect the putt. I've never really found a way of looking around the hole as a blueprint, maybe over a short distance, maybe 2 or 3 feet, but long range. You've just got to look at the light and dark, and when you see the change, it's obviously when it's going from into the grain and down grain.
Get a good local caddy. There we go. That's the best way.
And I think that the grain affects every putt, whether it's down grain, into the grain, cross grain. It really is a real niche or a real skill that you need to develop. And I think as us Europeans, or certainly Brits, we don't have that much grain to deal with.
Thank goodness.
At all. Yeah, absolutely.
Horrible stuff.
Yeah, it is nasty stuff. It is nasty stuff.
Chipping as well, miserable.
Yeah, and on Costa Navarino, obviously we've got our Costa Navarino Trip Team Challenge Trophy coming up in May of next year.
Can't wait.
Again, 5 teams this year. You're captaining up a team, which is going to be interesting.
Practicing.
Yeah. Listen, you play more golf than any of us. So we've got we've got a bit of
because you're
bit of
injured and you can't.
sledging going on.
Yeah.
We're going to we just had a little nod from James. We're going to kill the Zoom. 5-second delay on the Zoom. So we're going to work out another way of getting you guys and girls involved.
But thank you for trying. Thanks for helping us out and giving it a go.
Thanks for giving it a good little go. So look, 165.
Yeah.
I want to see a little bit. I want to see the shot that you love to play. A little bit of a slinging hook in there to start with. Let's get
the 8 up then.
Let's get her up the right. Let's get her see you drawing one in here.
Drawing a little bit against the wind.
Yeah.
So right. Any particular reason you picked that shot, or just because you wanted to test me?
Yeah, just test you with that. Well,
there you go.
I mean,
coming in off the right.
Yeah, it was. We'll go and take a little look at the. Oh, the TrackMan data's going to come up in the corner.
Yeah, come up from the top left. Yeah, I can change the data as well.
Yeah,
so,
so we've got a club path of inside out 2.8.
Do you want me to I can get face to path on there?
Should we get face to path up? And a little angle of attack as well.
So angle of attack is there, but I shall.
Angle of attack's there.
So what do you want to take out?
So let's take angle of attack. Put angle of attack on. I would take out smash factor. Don't need that. Don't need launch angle.
And
ball speed we'll take out.
Face to path.
Face to path. Yeah. Take out ball speed.
Happy.
No, that's. I think that's about right, isn't it? Don't want to.
There we go.
There we go. Perfect. So only 1 degree of face to path, and only 1 degree of face to path.
Does tricks
so
as well.
The smallest of draws.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of wind off the left, so it did take a little bit of that away. Anything that you did there to hit the little draw?
So I find if I try too hard if I try to move path too much, I'll overdo it. So I try to do it more with what I do with the face. I aimed a bit right and just allow the face to turn a little bit. It's kind of feel a little, not so much that, but but essentially if I move path as well, I'm going to double up. So I've learned over the years, or more recently with the TrackMan data, that I'm better at aim where I want it to effectively want it to start. Don't change my swing line, but just manipulate the face a little bit at impact.
Yeah. Well, let's see a little fade in there then. Let's see a little fade. We'll get on to more difficult shots in a minute.
Look, the drawing fade. Yeah.
Wind's helping off the left, so it should be
makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, makes it a little bit of an E. Very nice, very nice. Obviously selected the distance for the right club. So face to path was 3 degrees open. Tack angle a bit more down, so that one there, you trapped it a little bit more, hit more down on it. Path was 5 left. Feel like a little bit of a trapper as a fader?
I'm not consciously trying to. I think where I'm making sure that the face doesn't break down, that'll just get me, I guess, just leading a little bit more, so a little bit more on top of it, in front of it, but not consciously trying to do anything with that.
Yeah. So let's see you hit a low one. How are you going to hit a low one in there?
Back of the stance and whack that. No.
Yeah.
If you try and do that, put it back, and then it goes low, but it spins. So I'm just going to ball back a little bit. So it's funny, I haven't thought how much. We're going to move it back probably about a ball. And then really, I'm just trying to keep a little bit more of a deal off with my hands on it, and just keep turning through, not really change anything else.
Very old school, Simon.
Yep. Are we trying to really sting it, or?
Go as low as you. Yeah, give us a really low one. Let's see if you go a real low one and see how you do it. Because often the case is what people feel like they do and what they actually do are obviously 2 different things. So we'll see what you've delivered angle of attack wise. 5.6. So both the fade and the low shot, you have upped your angle of attack, because obviously by 2 or 3 degrees. Yeah. So you have lent on it a little bit. I think you'd be inhuman not to feel that, right?
Yeah. So I know you can do it without you, but I've always historically been lateral and gone that way. So it's kind of a natural way just to get on top and squeeze it a bit more. Yeah.
And so how are you now going to play the high one?
So without just going, I'll just put. What would I consciously change? I would shallow out a little bit. See, I've never been, if I try and, I can change, I've always been comfortable changing loft down, probably because I've always been lateral and shove the handle forward, so that's a more natural feel. If I try and scoop it, I can flip it a little bit.
Right.
So I'd be more thinking about a little bit shallower than, I wouldn't try and fade it.
Shallower, you mean
as in just attack it a little bit less, yeah.
Right.
So I'd keep ball position pretty much the same, unless I was really trying to hoist it. But if we're just trying to hit a little higher, then a little, just basically catch it at the bottom of the arc a little bit more than previously.
Feel free to keep your questions coming in. I've got the iPad in front of me, so
I can
any questions?
heel it and come out of it and leave it right.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult hitting it high. You know, if you're not comfortable with adding loft, you've added loft by opening the face, as opposed to making it go high by reducing angle of attack.
Yeah.
That's really the only way you can make the ball go higher, by reducing angle of attack.
Because I've always been much more comfortable.
Outside of hitting fade, you've only made that go higher because you've left the face open.
Yeah. So I've always been much more comfortable if I'm between clubs, going down a club and getting on top of it and squeezing it forwards rather than feathering one up. Yeah. Always been more comfortable that way around.
Love a feather up. Norwegian Warhound, welcome along Norwegian Warhound, always a regular on the show. Curious on how much difference face tech makes in irons. What kind of yardage differences would there be if lofts were the same? My first tournament with my swing changes coming up this weekend. Oh, well done.
Good luck
Norwegian Warhound is a regular on my channel.
Could almost be a Beatles song.
Yeah, absolutely. So face technology, how much has it changed over the years?
A lot. I think I guess we're talking about iron face technology predominantly on this one, and I think being able to put marrage, different materials into the face, go thinner, save weight, drop center of gravity, but also now, rather than just going thinner on the face, supporting it as well, which allows them to go thinner still and it not fail as much, kind of reverb the energy back into the face. So I think there are two effects to it. One is more ball speed, but the other one's also reduced spin. So that's the only thing we're now starting to see, like Titleist this year, engineering a bit more spin back into some of those faster faces. So you can get 3 to 4 miles an hour more ball speed out of them without a loft change if you're going to the really hot heads. But most of the time you see quite a considerable drop in loft because on the more forgiving heads they're trying for speed, trying for distance, and part of that is getting the loft down. So it's actually sometimes quite a hard comparison to make, because to get a fast face either at the higher loft of a face without tech, or really de-loft a blade or a similar kind of, say, a T100 or something down, you're right at the limits of what the heads will do. So to get an absolute test can be quite difficult.
If you had 100 golfers come through, where would the strike pattern tend to be on the face with an iron?
It varies a lot. It sounds like a real get out of jail, that one. But there are a lot of players who catch it heel side with irons. And that's certainly an area of the faces where the technology has helped maintain ball speed massively, actually, and particularly low on the face. That's improved a hell of a lot. So yeah, low and slight heel, I would say, tend to be more the miss pattern. Drivers, it can be spread equally toe and heel, but I think we tend to see more a little bit low and out the heel.
And when you think about what golfers have historically tried to change in their swing, everyone's tried to swing from the inside, everyone's tried to close the face to make a draw. You think about the direction of travel of the club head travelling from the inside out to the right, that makes the club rise up, pushes the sweet spot away, which is why most golfers are heel strikers, and it's not a heel striker because they're over the top, it's more because of where they've come from.
And that's one of the biggest misconceptions we see is someone actually assuming they're over the top. The amount of times someone said, they hit it left, I got over the top on that one, but the path's into out most of the time because they've just got right shoulder can get high and drag the face over rather than casting getting over the top. So very much more that way.
So have we got any other questions here? Good evening, Dave Hurley, welcome along, another regular on the show. Mark Griffin says, if you hit the centre of the face, there's not much difference.
There can be, in terms of ball speed, if we're going back to ball speed, there really can be. You can get, I mean, I've had efficiencies, with the blade, I can get a 142 smash. If I can get 147 with a face with tech, you're looking at 4 or 5 miles an hour for that. So, and you can see quite a difference now, but you're going to affect one of the other flight parameters. So that's the biggest key.
Dave Hurley, he asks, I've lost his question. I was just on my average
I thought you were going to poetry
speed,
then.
Yeah, my average swing speed with a 7-iron is 97 miles an hour. That's disgusting.
Strong, yeah.
On TrackMan, that's me swinging easy. Yeah, whatever, Dave.
I'd get a hernia swinging like that.
Joking. Swinging easy. Should I try and lower the speed to gain control?
Well, I'd be interested to see what you say. I would always say no, because the control comes from a fitting side of it. It's most of the time it's about getting the player and the club synced up and working as a team, as a pair, rather than fighting the club. And so a lot of the out of sync shots, so if you're fighting the club, your posture's going to change and you can get that kind of flick going through the ball or getting away from you through the shot, whereas actually once you and the club are working well, it becomes a lot more connected, and that's when the dispersion comes in. So I would say I would rather see someone swinging naturally and freely, because your muscles work at a particular pace that they fire a particular way, and if you fight that, you're then going to lose control, would be my comment.
Yeah, I mean, my analogy is you get a piece of string, you pull it taut, you can play a tune on it. If you relax it, it's dead. If you pull it too tight, it snaps. You get a piece of string to the point where it's tensile under load. That's the place you want to swing from. And when you're moving, if swinging easy is 97, then I would say you're swinging too softly. I think if you feel like you're aggressively going at it, not to the point swinging off your feet, I think that's a better place to be. And if that becomes 102, 104, I think that, look, I'm of the school of thought that if you're swinging at 100 miles an hour with a 7-iron, you're at a disadvantage, because I think 7-iron at 100 miles an hour, that's getting close to 200 yards, if not a touch more. You've now got to fill 200 down to 40 yards with 5 clubs, 6 clubs. That's a big gap to manage, and I think we've seen that, haven't we, with the people like Bryson and a lot of the players that went to the top end of distance, and there really has been less talk about how far they hit it, because I think they've worked out the fact that actually, if you're carrying it 300, I think that's enough. I don't think you need more than that, really, as a 300, 320. What Rory's up there, obviously. But I think
they say that's the top end of it.
I think you start to come at a disadvantage when you start hitting a wedge 160, 170, 180.
It's hard, I think, in terms of infilling the bottom end is actually a really tough task, and that everyone wants to. You get a lot of people say, "Oh, I wish I hit it further," but there are downsides to hitting it a long way. Some of that is structuring the bottom of the bag, because you can get around any course with the sort of speed that Dave's got there and distance he can hit it at. That distance isn't the issue. It's actually, the problem you have is you've got clearly got fast twitch muscles firing at pace, and then that's fine if you're if you're freewheeling at it. But actually, when you're presented with a half wedge shot, it's a darn sight tougher.
Golf Nerd, great question from Golf Nerd. Top 3 courses in Surrey. You can't say your own.
It would be Sunningdale Old would be my number 1.
There's such a cop out. It's such a
not really. It's just a great course.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Just from the lay of the land, the fun to play. The news harder.
I'm joking.
I think news is tougher.
I'm joking.
I would then go.
So you go number 1 Sunningdale.
Number 1 Sunningdale. Problem is we're very lucky. We've got so many. If I'm not allowed to say my own, Hankley Common's right up there.
Yeah.
Hankley's right up there. That's just a great track, and especially the changes they've done to it recently. And then, I'm really not sure. What would number 3 be? I'm making sure I don't pick one that's in Berkshire.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
So my number.
Too many to think
Yeah.
of. I'll have a think of the third one. I'll do you first too.
Yeah, I think at number 3, I'd go with somewhere like I think Hindhead. I think that would be number 3 for me. Number 2 would be.
It's just tough this one.
Yeah. I'm going to go with St George's Hill. It's your place. And number 1, without doubt, twice on Sundays, every day of the week. Sign me up. Want to be a member? Is Hankley Common. I mean, there is, as far as I'm concerned, Sunningdale, you can poke it. Wentworth, you can poke it. Hankley Common, died and gone to heaven. You stand on the first tee, and you get out there onto 2, 3, 4. An early morning, bit of dew on the ground. This time of year for me is like
stunning,
the
isn't it?
best time of year. I think it's just beautiful golfing terrain. If you've not played it, the golf course is set in amongst Territorial Army.
It's a proper heath.
It's in the middle of nowhere. It's beautiful. So that for me is my absolute number 1. Yeah, absolutely love it. Great question.
Very good
Great question.
I haven't committed to that. Mine would have been Sunningdale, St George's Hill, but very close, and then Hankley. But I'll throw in for fun. Yeah. I'll throw in Worpleston's a really fun course.
Yeah, I haven't played there for years. Had a lot of changes, isn't it? Had a lot of changes. I've started to now move this further away, which is a sign of getting close to my 40s.
You're getting close to them now, rather than in them.
So Mark Griffin, with regards to the low shot, have you tried standing an inch or 2 closer to the ball and moving it back one width? Tiger does it this way. I tried it and it works. Thoughts on why?
Well, thoughts on standing closer. That just for me, that just means a certain part of the club, but that I'm not wanting to go anywhere. I've never been a close to. You see where I address the ball. There are loads of different methods. There was one that I got taught as when I was at college was, open the face down, put it back a little bit, and you naturally close it.
I think he's referring to the low shot.
Yeah, but that was one that kind of if you put it back in your stance a lot, you have to open the face a bit because your path changes. So if you set up square back in the stance, actually you're closing the face down. So that was one of the keys. So if you're going to put the ball back, open the face a little bit. Right. I mean, the Tiger Stinger's a iconic shot, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why standing closer makes you hit it lower is because it just makes the arm plane go up more and more of a descending blow, and then the angle of attack goes up, dynamic loft comes down, the ball goes lower. But like you said, I think that's such a odd feeling to suddenly adjust the distance from your a bit as you like you. I'd be more worried about misstriking it than actually hitting a low shot by standing closer to it. But standing closer to it is just trying to get the golfer to lift his arms up more. And look, the crazy things that you hear tour players say because they just play the thing through instinct is nuts. I mean, I worked with a guy on tour that thought about, in most pressure, I just thought about a Luke Donald finish. I mean, well, what am I going to do with that? It's like, if it works, great, fantastic stuff. But, and that's the slight beef with like taking tour players and the insights. They're so innately gifted because they've done it since they came out of the womb. That they've just been swinging with a golf club in their hand. So whatever that can capture their imagination and deliver what they need to deliver to hit the target, they're going to go with it, aren't they? Yeah. And they hit so many balls and they've got so much going through their brain and fiddling that they have enough time to.
So they develop the feel, they've hit enough shots to work out a way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave Hurley, what's the best angle of attack for hitting a 2-iron from the tee?
Depends what your tee height is. It doesn't.
For you, Dave, you've got
a little bit. But it doesn't need much. A couple of degrees, 1-2 degrees.
Depends on the flight you're trying to hit, the club head speed you've got, the loft you've got on your 2-iron. There's a whole range of it.
Have we got angle attack on there?
Yeah.
All right, let's hit 2-iron. See what. Yeah, I've got 2-iron. I have no idea. Well, I have no idea. I have a vague idea what mine is, but.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll pop a low tee in, but I wouldn't necessarily think about. I'd just hit it. If you're just hitting a stock shot, then then you just actually better put it on something which is a relevant shot rather than airmailing it over a green. Let's just stick it on.
So this is we'll keep that screen up, Simon. So this is one of the great features on TrackMan. Allows you to come out here. You can move where you hit from down the bottom, and as you move this golf ball around on this section here, it actually starts to change all of these data points. It's a really great bit of kit for you to be able to sort of sit there and practice hitting at targets rather than the simulated range that we tend to use. So which one are you going to go for?
I was just going to use a fairway, but I can move it to find.
What about this one here? What about this one here?
Do you want to sting one at the target there?
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Just hit a standard 2-iron. Just hit a standard 2-iron.
Standard 2-iron, okay.
Dave normally uses a red castle tee. Well, let me tell you, Dave, we won't hold that against you, pal.
No, because that's what we're doing now.
Angle of attack. What's that? Got to be 2.5, 3 down, is it?
Don't know. We'll see. I mean,
2 degrees.
Probably
down,
less than. I mean, the interesting bit would be to see if off the ground how much does it differ. Technically, I should probably know this, but let's see if I put it on the ground, how much does it change? I don't know, but that was nearly a shank.
Yeah, it's got to be about 3 or 4. I think that's 4 degrees down.
Disgrace of a shot, but
that's 4 degrees.
It's a very forgiving clubhead, thankfully.
2.4. Yeah.
So I certainly don't try and change anything. Offer to just tee it low enough so it's relevant.
Yeah, look, you deliver a certain style of angle of attack with all of your golf clubs. The angle of attack on your 7-iron will be indicative of what you're going to do with your 2-iron. So if you are slightly steeper than normal on a 7-iron, you're going to be slightly steeper than normal on a 2-iron. You very rarely have different ways of delivering the golf club as you go through the bag. I think the biggest one is when people stand on the mat and they can't make an angle of attack with the 7-iron, and then they pull their driver out and they're 3 degrees or 4 degrees down. And that's because the lever's longer, they're pulling on it and they're chopping down on the head on it. I think angle of attacks are slightly misunderstood in terms of what you need to do and how you feel it.
Yeah.
I don't think. Oh, here we go. We've got another. So we've got Niels Axon says Dave Hurley is living in a different world to the rest of us. Absolutely.
Yeah. Certainly, it's one that my back can only dream of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peter Cantor says, or should I say, ask any myths to bust on players with high spin, higher club speed, better golfer, lower spin is the opposite. Does that ring true, or other factors in play?
I think if I interpret it right, it's a question: is high spin really just for higher speed players? If I've interpreted that right, no, it's not. You can create. A high speed player can create low spin, and a low speed player can create high spin. It's purely by kind of how you deliver the club head. So you are more likely to get high spin with more club speed because you're getting more friction on the back of the ball. The ball will go higher because there's more ball speed. It's going to peak later, so it gets more physical height. But no, I wouldn't say it's certainly one. I mean, take with the driver, you're more likely to get. It's really technique based. You can get some very, very low spin players at very high speeds, and some players that spin the bejesus out of it with moderate speed, strike points, and angle of attacks and delivery. So it's certainly not a kind of a one is very much a high speed player, one's a low speed player.
I'm going to answer your question in a minute. Ebo001, let us know how old you are and what your handicap is before we come on to that. Something that I wanted.
Cryptic.
Something I wanted to just mention. There's only 55% of you, or should I say, there is 45% of you that are subscribed to our channel that are watching right now. So if you are enjoying the content and you watch a lot of our fittings and you enjoy those, do give us a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. So, and also the other thing I wanted to ask is, we've got another 15 minutes left. Throw us in what you'd like Simon to hit.
Yeah.
Whether it's any of the drivers, any of the irons, wedges, anything in his bag, a hole. Give us a heads up what you would like to see over the next 15 minutes.
We've got all the targets available behind us.
Yeah,
I can miss all of them.
Excellent. So Ebo's come back with his 41 11.3 index. His question was, hi PG team, I'm bored with my swing speed, aren't we all? And I'm too lazy to go to the gym.
Okay.
That's honest question.
Yeah.
Honest comment. My 7-iron club head speed is, he didn't put this word in, but I'm going to put it in, woeful at 75 miles an hour. Just harsh but fair. Especially at 41 years old.
As a young man.
Exactly, and I'm
man.
47, clinging onto it, and I'm faster than you by 15 miles an hour. So you need to be faster. What can I do?
Well, one thing that is, you can train speed.
And he's 6'3" tall.
6'3", you've got some levers on it. And so, yeah, so one thing is, okay, flexibility. You don't have to go to the gym, but mobility helps. If you're someone who's...
What shot shape do you hit? Carry on.
And so if you're someone who's sat at a desk, then you get tight around here. So moving regularly, working on rotation, mobility levels, that's certainly one that you can do. But actually you can train maximum speed without having to get bigger and stronger by actually, a lot of us get slow through habit, through not pushing our bodies at all. So actually, just practice swinging fast. Don't hit a shot, but instead of, if your swing is kind of that sort of rhythm, well, get used to going like that, get a big swish. Just do a little bit of a loosening up before you try that. But actually doing 5 to 10 of those each day, you can train, you're getting your muscles to work at a higher rate rather than settling back into a comfortable period. So that's certainly a period, comfortable kind of pace. So that's certainly one thing you can do.
So here's what I'm going to get you to do. Get your 2-iron.
Right.
This is.
Okay, would you like a hand?
Okay. Tee that ball up. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to give me the weakest grip you've ever got. Yep. And with your right hand on top. And I want you to swing as fast as you can with that grip. Have a couple of practice swings with it first. Yeah, not quite that way with the left hand, because you don't want it coming off your hand. And swing as hard as you can. And what I need you to do is still make the ball go straight.
Yeah, I was going to say, keep it straight.
As straight as possible. Still as hard as you can, though.
Okay.
As hard as you can. Yeah, with that grip. Yeah.
Okay. Right, and now give it
yeah, now give it a proper, with the same grip, you've got to make it go straight.
Oh, can't get contact with it.
Obviously very difficult. Obviously very difficult.
You could tell by the noise that
club speed was 94.
Came along with as well.
Now go to a stronger hold.
Yeah. So I naturally have a strong hold because I've got strong formation.
So strong hold. So go a bit stronger. Now have a couple of practice swings with that. And now hit it as hard as you can.
Right. I get the feeling there's some bar mechanics involved in this.
So, let's have a little look at the club speed.
Did he kill James with a T?
Yeah. So club speed, a couple of miles an hour faster. Now, grip, without question, will affect the swing speed. Now, Ebo has said that he hits a draw. Now, there are plenty of golfers out there, it's rare, but plenty of golfers out there with weak grips that hit draws. And they do that by unloading the golf club quite hard.
Yeah.
Be interesting to hear what his angle of attack is and TrackMan data is. But that's certainly the first port of call. The stronger you hold, the more chance you have of loading the shaft on the way down and still being able to square it up at the bottom. That would be number one. And secondly, using your feet properly. Using the pressures in the feet. I've done a lot of videos, shameful plug, on my YouTube channel, Intelligent Golf Performance, Stuart Cartwright, on how to use our feet properly to inspire rotation. We were taught in old money, when we swing the golf club back, we load the weight up into the right side, and then as we swing the golf club through, we push off with the right side and we move into the left side. Well, that does not create or encourage rotation. The pressures oppose the direction the club works in, which creates rotation. So using your feet and having a strong hold are the two biggest ingredients that will really encourage club speed, as far as I'm concerned, from a coaching perspective.
Or allow some freedom to the swing,
So hopefully that'll help you out. So who have we got now? So we've got Tony C. When coming in for a fitting, should I start from the top end of the bag or the lower end of the bag? The questions have gone nuts, by the way, and they want you to hit a shot on your head wearing a dress.
Oh, unfortunately, I don't have that with me today. I've left my dress at home.
Honestly. James has got a dress out the back. Shame. Anyway, so
I would say focus on, if you're going to be going through the whole bag, focus on the irons first, because actually what we're then going to be looking at is the kind of the control. It's the bigger part of the bag, but we need to know where your irons get to then structure from driver back towards them. So that's why I would go that way around. If you can start at the top end and you kind of got drivers you max out, and then you can work some of the clubs back from there. However, you're not going to know what you're trying to bridge to from an iron play point of view. So it's more important to know where the top of your irons are, and then how you're bringing the top end of the bag back towards those to make sure the balance of shots is right, and what kind of ball flight you get with your irons as well. So yeah, definitely do irons first.
Good answer. Mark Griffin says, I've heard the majority of high-speed players carry more wedges. Do you know if this is true or not? Carries driver, 5-wood, 4-iron down, at least 4 wedges. Personally, I carry 4 wedges, and I'm not, and I think that's the norm. Well, no, it's the norm really for golfers.
Yeah, well, I think there are 2 elements. One, a pitch wedge used to be 50 degrees, and it's now 45, 46. That's one of the reasons you now need a gap wedge, so you need an extra wedge. Whereas it would have been 9-iron pitch wedge, sand wedge, and maybe a lob wedge. Now pitch wedge, gap wedge, sand wedge, lob wedge. But part of it is, if you're higher speed, you're hitting it further. So my pitch wedge is 135 odd yards. So for me to go pitch wedge and 2 wedges below that, there's an awful lot of ground, as you alluded to earlier. There's an awful lot of ground to cover. I've got to manipulate a lot of shots to fill those gaps in, whereas I can go 135, 120, 105, 85. And then the rest are kind of the half shots and feely ones. But if you're higher speed, you need the armoury at the bottom end of the bag.
Good answer again. Golf Nerd, Trackman published an article saying Morikawa changed his wedge to D2 sand wedge. Do you think this is a custom light head? Seems like it's difficult to achieve such a low swing weight with a heavy wedge head.
If his sandwich is at D2, then chances are D2 swing weight, yeah. If the sandwich is at D2 swing weight, then either they've done some grinding on it.
Sorry, yeah, D2 swing weight.
So because it is, your standard off the rack sandwiches sort of D4, D5. So you've got to take 4 to 6 grams off the head to do that. So either they've TaylorMade have made him a lighter head, or they've used a sole and ground it to get the weight off. But yes, that would have been a custom head for him.
Great question by Alexander Ward. Evening, gents. Evening, Alexander.
Evening.
If a higher handicapper came to us for a fitting and had one of those days where he or she just cannot hit the ball, what would you do in terms of the fitting?
Great question, because it happens. And the answer is we'd always see what we can achieve. If it's a full bag session, if someone's got the unmentionals with the irons, you go to driver first. Hasn't got a hosel on it, or has, but not one that can send it sideways. And it tends to free the swing up. But if it is at a point where we're not comfortable with the data we're getting that's representative enough, or there's not definitive enough, or you're not happy with your performance and feel it's representative, we'll always be able to get a certain amount of a benchmark from that session, saying, right, this is where your current clubs are and why you're likely to see what you're getting. We know what direction we're moving in 99% of the time. But we'd always be saying to you, look, we don't want to fit you, we don't want to fit the wrong thing. We don't want to fit to the wrong swing. So we'd invite you to come back in and get a follow-up session, come back in. We've got the base data from the first session. We know what we're going to be trying to achieve in the main, but yeah, get you to come back in. We wouldn't charge for that, and just rerun back through things. We should have a good amount of data to start from, so it'll be a shorter session, and yeah, take a view on making sure that you've got to be happy with it, but equally speaking, we've got to be confident that what we're going to do is going to give you that improvement.
Good answer again there. Can Simon, and I think that's a question that lots of people ask as well.
Yeah.
I think ultimately...
Yeah. Rightly so as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ultimately, what a fitter needs is a couple of good shots with each club, don't you?
It's a lot less than people think.
Yeah, you just don't need to stand there and hit 15 pearlers. They just need, even if you only hit one good shot and you said, that's it, that's the one that I usually hit, that's a benchmark, isn't it? And I think at that point, you go from there. But I think, nevertheless, if it is an uncomfortable day, then the last thing you would ever want to do is walk away with equipment where you've got questions in your own head that I've had a bad day and I've been fitted for a bad swing.
It's the worst thing for both of us. You know, the player is going to have doubts about, was it really suited me? I didn't think I was playing that well. And the last thing we want is someone, with questions in their head, because then, you just don't trust the clubs. So and you can't be definitive. Weird one. We know that as a player, I know as a player, I would want to see enough shots that give me what I feel is a decent enough swing, and to show the kind of improvement, a consistent improvement over what I got, to be able to make a straight decision with it. So
absolutely. There's a wedge. Golf Nerd would like to see you hit a 40-yard hook like Bubba Watson did at the Masters.
Oh, thanhanks. Yeah, that's a really simple one.
And I've got an absolute cracker to follow that up with
40,
after that.
Just a 40-yard hook.
Just a 40
just like one of the most talented manoeuvrers of a ball in the history of the game.
We've got 4 minutes left. Get on with it.
Okay. Oh, this has got to be right. So, okay. Well, I don't even know where this is going to be aimed.
Big scene. We need a face-to-path value of about 15 degrees.
Okay.
That's not a bad effort, that.
It'll be a late hook here.
A late hook. Here she comes. Here she comes. Here she comes. Here she comes. That's a decent. Is that
a decent effort?
That's a decent bend. That.
It might give us left, so we can judge it. Yeah. Give us distance off.
Judge it.
So let's see.
It'll give us curve. It'll give us curve. Spin axis 22 degrees. 34 yards of left hand.
34 yards left. That's nearly
28.
Ended up 37.
28 yards of curve.
28 yards ago, okay.
Yeah, we'll take that.
I'll take that as a sort of a win.
And the follow-up, which I'm absolutely loving, which I'm loving.
He wants to say about a slice with the wedge, doesn't he?
And Mark Griffin says he's impressed. He seems like he's a tough man to impress. Mark Griffin says he wants to see a shank. On you go.
Well, if you've watched some of my previous videos, I've shanked them in those as well.
Yeah.
So I notice you're edging further back.
He does that easily.
Right, I want to see a shank. Okay.
Easy. Full pipe. We need to see it here. An official shank would be, it has to hit.
Shanks go forward much more than.
Yeah,
that's a toe ender that's going to hit there.
Okay. Well, I'll give you this. Baby.
That one. Yeah. So anywhere in the first three.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got to. Yeah. We don't want to see some sort of plastic shank. We want a proper.
Okay.
One,
right. A proper armitage. Right.
Yeah. That's decent. That. There, look, there's a graze mark there.
You see, this is decent.
No, fair play to that. That's good work.
You see, that's taken years of practice.
That's the equivalent of how hard it is.
I'm sorry that they made me do that to you.
How hard it is to aim away from a flagstick is the same as trying to hit it out the shank, because you've spent your whole life trying to hit it out the middle. It's really difficult to hit it out the shank. So I'm just going to. We need to keep answers to 10 seconds now. Simon to hit a draw or driver off the deck. We'll do that next time, Tony C. Have you hit the new Mizuno irons, T45, etc.? When is the release date? Can you comment?
Well, release date will be February time, but no, we haven't seen them. They're out in Asia, or they've got some coverage in Asia, but we haven't seen them yet. No.
Okay.
Pictures look nice.
Could it not be a higher balance shaft in Morikawa's wedge?
It would have to be a very, very high balance one, which would go against the rest of his clubs.
My pitching wedge is average 132, and my 50 degree is 115, 54 is 102. That doesn't make sense if your average is 132 with the pitching wedge and your driver and your iron clubhead speed is 97 miles an hour. The gap between the pitching wedge and 50 is too much.
So 134 to...
Yeah, so it's 50 degrees, 115, 54 is 102, 58 is 85.
Yeah, so I'd say the 50 is probably not a 50, it's probably more like 52.
Yeah, very good. Niels Axelson says it's a shank mastery. And that brings us beautifully to the end of the show.
Thank you for having me, leave me with that thought for the next time I play. Looking forward to not standing that close to the ball.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this evening's show. This is a regular spot every Monday night, 6 p.m. Laurel and Hardy, Ernie, Morecambe and Wise here of PG. Come and make ourselves look silly on a regular evening. And hopefully next week I'll be hitting some shots.
Hope so. Yeah.
Big thanks to Simon. Big thanks to James, as ever, behind the discs there, making all this happen. Little less stressed for him this week. Last week I thought he was going to have some sort of coronary.
I think he barely recovered before we asked him to do something Zoom-like again. So.
Absolutely. As I say, do give us a like and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you next week.